Koinant, good evening fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And there's a lovely old English saying, and that is that the more I know, or the more I learn, the more I realize how little I know. And this goes absolutely perfectly hand in hand with the story I'm going to tell you now. And you can't make this shit up. Okay, this is now the ANC government's NCC, or the inner circle, who are making all the rules and regulations during lockdowns, response to this challenge about the trading of illegal cigarettes during the lockdown. And guess who's central to it? You got it in one. Dlamini-Zuma. This is why I talk about the L factor. You know, the old logic factor? Missing in action. As I just said, you can't make this shit up. But listen to what is happening. Economic damage to South Africa from the current cigarette ban, which is thought to include the loss of billions of rands in excise tax, will be partly mitigated by economic activity from the growing illegal cigarette trade. Now, let me repeat that in case you're not really believing what I'm saying, okay? Because this comes from the documents lodged by the Cooperative Government and Traditional Affairs Minister Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. Let me just repeat this. She says in this document, economic damage to South Africa from the current cigarette ban, which is thought to include the loss of billions of rands in excise tax, will be partly mitigated by economic activity from the growing illegal cigarette trade. No condemnation of the illegal sale of cigarettes, notice? No, just saying that the economic activity is going to be partially mitigated, which means basically it'll be offset by illegal cigarette sales. So what do? They shut down illegal cigarette sales, and their argument for keeping it is because illegal cigarette sales will kind of just help keep that economy going. As I said, L factor, missing in action. Well, let's continue. This is one of the statements included in court documents lodged by Cooperative Government and Trade Affairs Minister Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma to keep the 12-week ban on the sale of cigarettes and tobacco products in place, opposing a second court bid to resume legal trade. Her 500-page plus affidavit contains a wide array of facts, analysis, and opinions to retain the ban, which has been criticized by the tobacco industry as harmful to jobs, not effective in stopping smoking, and not supported by evidence. The main focus of her arguments in retaining the temporary bans is that emerging research supports the view that smoking leads to more severe cases of COVID-19, and that the ban is necessary as a precautionary measure to safeguard South Africa's healthcare system. Well, I've got a simple answer for this stupid, dumb woman. I mean, really, I question her ability to do what she's doing with good reason. Because, she talks about smoking leads to more severe cases of COVID-19. What about social distancing, which is the whole basis of the lockdown? It doesn't exist in the townships. It doesn't exist in taxis when people are being taken from point A to point B. That's where the transmission occurs, not because of someone smoking cigarettes. In fact, if anything, because of the way that they've run this lockdown, as you can see from the figures, we'll hit 100,000 infections in South Africa very, very shortly. 4,000 or 5,000 new ones a day now. And the curve is just going like this. It's going ballistic. Fail when it comes to a lockdown. But Dlamini-Zuma's affidavit was recently lodged in a case brought by the country's largest tobacco manufacturer, British American Tobacco, South Africa, and other tobacco groupings to have the ban undone. The case is distinct from a challenge launched by the Free Trade Independent Tobacco Association, which was argued in court last week. Judgment in the FETA case has not yet been handed down. The respondents in the case lodged by the British Tobacco, or BATSA, and Co. are Dlamini-Zuma, President Cyril Ramaphosa, and the National Coronavirus Command Council, which in itself has been challenged for its legitimacy. In her legal response, Dlamini-Zuma argues that the economic impact of the ban would not be as severe as the scenario outlined by the applicants. Citing a study by Genesis Analytics, she states, this is where you can't make this shit up, okay? She states, an ironic feature of the impact of the ban is that to the extent illicit trade in cigarettes grows, the adverse economic impact of the ban will be reduced. Now, for those people who don't realize, Edward Zuma, who's a stepson, is one of those people pouring millions of illegal cigarettes into the market in South Africa. Now, if that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. And of course, someone who's basically had some kind of relationship with her in the past, he's a illicit, illegal cigarette trader, is also benefiting from these illegal cigarettes. And of course, they're paying no tax. Anyone in South Africa will tell you the premium, and I'd like you to comment down below, what premium are you paying on illegal cigarettes that you now have to buy to keep your habit going, compared to what the legal price is on tax-paying companies in South Africa. This is an incredible scam that's going on. Anyway, let's continue. This is now again Dlamini-Zuma talking. She says, any analysis which predicts maximum economic damage from the cigarette ban is on the face of it not credible due to the economic activity from the illegal cigarette market. Who's a major beneficiary? I would suggest Dlamini-Zuma. This is how the gangster state works in South Africa. To support her case that the ban may not have had as large an impact on informal traders as the applicants say it has, she notes, again citing the Genesis analytical study, that new trade in illicit tobacco products may have made up for losses from legal cigarettes for informal traders. So now she is promoting the illegal sale of cigarettes in South Africa. This is the woman who heads up the NCC, which is pushing the regulations that are putting you in the position that you're in. She heads it up. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Anyway, let's continue. Once the ban is over, Dlamini-Zuma argues there is reason to believe that smokers will return to buying legal cigarettes, meaning the inroads made into the market by illicit trade will be undone. Now, why aren't the police sorting out the illicit trade of illegal cigarettes? Why isn't that Edward Zuma factory in Pietermaritzburg being shut down? It's got, apparently, and this is according to someone who's on the ground, who's a subscriber to this channel, they've got dozens of very, very highly armed guards guarding that place. Someone must be making a packet out of something. And it's run by a company controlled by Edward Zuma. As I said, you can't make this shit up. This is South Africa, the gangster state. Dlamini-Zuma also argues that the ban has been successful in cutting smoking. Paragraph 159 of the affidavit reads, On the assumption that the current ban on cigarette sales continues for a full year, the result will be an overall annual decrease in sales of about 1 billion cigarettes, i.e. from 26 billion down to 17. It should be 9 billion. Okay, I'm sorry guys, there's a typo which is just so common now in the reporting in South African media. Let me repeat that. Paragraph 159 of the affidavit reads, on the assumption that the current ban on cigarette sales continues for a full year, the result will be an overall annual decrease in sales of about 9 billion cigarettes, i.e. from 26 billion down to 17 billion. This appears to represent a prediction that the illegal cigarette trade may grow to about 63% of the legal cigarette market before the ban was introduced. At other points in her affidavit, she underlines how difficult it is to determine the true size of the illicit market. Well, go and speak to your stepson. He'll tell you. I'm sure he's raking in billions of rand right now. And you probably know all about it. On the number of South Africans who quit smoking or smoke less, in paragraph 158, she says, the ban may lead to only 1 in 10 or 1 in 8 smokers kicking the habit. There are about 8 million smokers in South Africa. If 10 to 15% of them quit smoking due to the ban, this represents 0.8 to 1.2 million quitters. She continues, in my respectful submission, the number of quitters and the overall decrease in the number of cigarettes sold shows that regardless of the increase in illicit activity, the current ban will have a very significant positive health impact during the COVID-19 crisis. This is ridiculous. In her concluding remarks in the affidavit, Dlamini-Zuma says, the ban is currently necessary to avert the COVID-19 related health risks of smoking I have mentioned. I reiterate the ban is not a permanent measure. It will be lifted as soon as this can be safely done, having regard to the state of the COVID-19 pandemic in our country. The capacity of our health systems to cope with severe COVID-19 infections require hospitalization and high care, intensive care and ventilation in our hospitals, and the risk posed to smokers of severe COVID-19 disease. South Africa banned the sale of tobacco products at the start of the nationwide lockdown in late March, citing health reasons. The ban was extended under level 4 and again under level 3 of the lockdown. Remember, when it went to level 4, Ramaphosa said cheerfully, yeah, you can now smoke again. But then he got knocked on the wrist by the members of the NCC who are in the Ace Magashula Dlamini-Zuma camp, who are doing beautifully well out of illegal cigarettes, and he had to tell the whole of South Africa that, no, sorry guys, we're going to keep illegal cigarettes off the shelves. But illegal cigarettes, well, you know, that's kind of okay. Yeah, go figure. BATSA and its co-applicants, meanwhile, argue in their founding court papers that the ban unjustifiably limits the economic rights of farmers and manufacturers, while infringing on the right of smokers to enjoy psychological integrity, among other reasons. The emotional well-being of smokers was being harmed by the state's tobacco ban, said BATSA, who argued that tobacco and vaping products are similar to coffee in the ways they are experienced and used by consumers, provide users with enjoyment and help them cope in these stressful circumstances. Banning them, it says, has harmed the emotional well-being of smokers and is unconstitutional. BATSA also argued that the ban costed between 300 million rand and 350 million rand in lost revenues per week, and has harmed the prospects of South African tobacco farmers who sell roughly 90% of their stock in the local market. The tobacco manufacturer has estimates that the fiscus lost out on approximately 2.4 billion rand in lost taxes during the first 8 weeks of the lockdown, which it says coincided with a steep rise in illicit trade. There you go. Keep it in the family. Stuff everybody else. That's what this is all about. Yeah. When you got the name Zuma or you're in politics, you just know one thing. They are leaders in the gangster state. All right, guys, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like this video. Please share this video. And above all, please stay safe. Bye for now.